kicking it off with the Starlighter I-League Star Series event. We are wrapping up the group stages, or getting close to the very end here. And as you can see, obviously, progress has been made. Earlier in the week, we found out, a couple days ago, in fact, I believe it was, Team Liquid actually officially clinched one of the 2 spots out of the European region. They're going to be representing Europe at the $300,000 Starlighter I-League Star Series LAN, set to take place in Shanghai, China, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say in the month of March, so it's going to be coming up here. Maybe later February even. When is it? Let's double check on that real quickly. It is in Shanghai, and it's later February. Wow, so it's at the end of this month here. So they're really coming down the wire here as far as getting the teams figured out and getting things set up. So Team Liquid, again, they're the one team that's qualified. There's 4 other teams currently that are playing for the 2nd spot, and you can see it's pretty close race between these 4 teams. As far as Horde, Vega Squadron, and Na'Vi, they are officially knocked out, so any matches they play from at this point are just simply glorified scrims, is what the term that I've kind of been using here. Na'Vi currently in a match against Cloud9. It looks like Cloud9 did win the first game. And Na'Vi, though, trying to play spoilers, obviously, as Cloud9, again, one of the teams that is trying to get that 2nd place seed. But they're going to need help. Secret plays a couple of matches over these next days, as well as Phenom. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, both of those teams basically control their own destiny. It's Team Secret and Phenom. If they went out, one of those teams went out, then they're going to be going on. Because actually, Secret Phenom plays later on today. So that's going to be a very significant match. Whoever loses that, or if they split, I guess both teams are still alive. But if one team goes 2-0, then they're 0-2, of course, then the team that went 0-2 is definitely done. I'm fairly certain. So, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to overthink this. Anyways, that's going to be a fun finish to today. And then into tomorrow, Secret versus Vega Squadron, Phenom versus Alliance to finish it all off. So one of these 4 teams, though, are going to be representing Europe alongside Team Liquid at the LAN finals there. So that should be a lot of fun. So that's the European region. Again, wrapping up tomorrow. As far as the American region, same story there. Today's matches aren't necessarily the most entertaining, and I was actually kind of talking about this right before I started my daily recap right here. This is where lies a little bit of an issue with this format of these qualifiers. Again, I get it that they need a team. All they really want is a team from these regions: the American, the European, the Southeast Asia, yada yada. They want a team for these regions, and they're getting that in the end. And it's good for getting that team. Yes, it is. However, from a spectator point of view and from a lot of these teams' perspectives, that frankly, and especially in the American case where there's only 1 spot up for grabs, let's be honest, 4, even 5 of these teams really didn't even have a chance to actually get that number 1 spot from the beginning. They were just kind of playing this tournament just simply for playing in the tournament. And yes, they do get something out of it. There's the tournament experience that they get out of it, and there's the exposure that their organization or the team they play for perhaps get out of it. And, it's that, about feeling like stars to an extent. It feels pretty good. But at the same time, you're asking these players pretty much over a week and a half, 2-week period to play, in some cases, every night. In other cases, even twice a night, throughout this basically week and a half here. And knowing that they ultimately don't get anything out of it in the end. And it kind of sets up for these later matches where you have a day like today where these matches really just don't matter. The first one does, in the sense that Digital Chaos is contesting with Team NP, trying to get that spot. However, Team Freedom, obviously, they're completely out of it. They're just simply playing for the quote-unquote pride and trying to play spoilers. And then the other 2 matches, literally nothing on the line outside of just simply playing matches for the spectator's sake, for them, so something to watch. But even as a spectator, I feel as a spectator, watching a game like this is like, what's the point? There's no significant meaning on the line. You could argue that the teams aren't necessarily going to try as hard because of that, which is understandable. They're humans after all. So it's the same thing in traditional sports with the regular season. Now, the biggest difference there, when I hear people bringing up that counter argument, it's like, oh, why did traditional sports get away with it then, like in a regular season format, where by the end you're having a lot of games that don't mean anything. The biggest difference there is that those players get paid. They're still playing for something, and that something is their personal contracts. That something is their personal salary that they make as a working employee of the said league, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, soccer league, whatever it is. They're getting paid an amount of money and playing for the sake of getting even more money down the line in terms of them getting better contracts or whatever that may be. Where with the esports side of things and with Dota 2 specifically, and a lot of teams in this case, yes, there's a couple of teams out there at the higher echelon that definitely have these contracts, and the players may be playing for that to an extent, but majority of these teams are just simply literally playing for the sake of just playing because the tournament organized these matches for them. Now, the games are being played, and that's great. And I think it's great that we haven't really had any forfeits other than the one very earlier on in the event, which is good to see. But it just feels like if I was one of these teams, if I was a player on one of these teams, it would just kind of feel shitty, like knowing that there was really nothing on the line. There's nothing you could do about it. You're just simply playing for the sake of playing. So, and props to the teams for sure for definitely showing up and still playing and making sure the matches happen. But frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if teams just didn't show up till later on in the event, figuring what's the point. And so, anyways, that's just kind of a mini rant right there as far as the format. Like I said, I'm not saying that StarLadder's dumb for doing this or they're evil organization for doing this by any means or anything like that. It's more so I just really hope that not only StarLadder but other organizations out there definitely try to really look at these formats in the future and come up with maybe some better ideas in terms of how can we make sure a majority, if not all the matches, actually have some kind of relevance to them. And, there's a couple of ideas, I would hate to just say this without giving a couple of ideas at least. There's a couple of ideas that I have had that could help with that concept. One is the more the obvious concept that you have the group stage, you may play best of twos, and then that leads into a double elimination bracket stage where maybe the top 4 go to the winners, the bottom 4 go to the losers. There you go. Or you could do the GSL format. The GSL format is kind of another format that allows for more relevancy when it comes to these matches in the sense that it's kind of a group stage, but then it's kind of not. It's basically a bracket that is set up as a group stage where you got the 4 teams, so you have 2 4-team groups, and then they play in a mini bracket, a mini double elimination bracket of sorts to then see who advances on to the, the final bracket or whatever it may be. So that type of event definitely makes more significance in terms of every match. That's where the teams are playing for something on the line. If they lose, they're done. They don't have to worry about playing other matches down the line that are completely irrelevant and make no sense. So there's obviously that kind of a format. Now, there's the argument, okay, maybe that's going to take a little bit too long, whatever the case. Personally, I don't even think that's necessarily true. If you look at this here, this was what? This was 6, 9, 10 days essentially of matches that they had. Each team is literally playing 7 best of 2s. That's 14 games for each team. With a double elimination, with the GSL format, you have teams. Some teams are only going to be playing 4 games in the end if they lose 0-2 in their first 2 matches, and then they're done. Other teams, the most you could play is what? You're looking at if every series goes a distance, you have 6 games in the groups, and then you have, if you do like a single elimination bracket after that, you have another 6 in the brackets. That's 12 games. That's 12 games compared to 14 games that we're making these teams play, yet those 12 games, every single game is very, very relevant. And again, in some cases, only the 4 games, yet why play on though after that point? They're out, it doesn't matter. Don't waste their time when it comes down to playing set events. So I don't think the argument that, the scheduling could be an issue then if they try to go more, that's not the case. It really isn't. You can work around it. I feel like this was set up with not necessarily the most thought out in terms of the group stages here. And then there's even another suggestion that I brought up, and I was told actually that Dream League apparently does this as well. They do a bounty system of sorts where every game there's actually money on the line, and I think I was told that they did something like $1,000 on the line for every single match, and that's definitely another way to look at it. I know we actually did that, coming from Heroes of New Earth. We actually ran a couple events that were similar to that concept, and it seemed like the players and the spectators could appreciate it, and it made each of those group stages that much more relevant in terms of, well, at least something's on the line. It's not just simply a glorified scrim again. Like imagine, even if it was like a $500 prize pool for each series, a $500 bounty. Onyx versus Dialcom all of a sudden becomes like, okay, well, they're playing for $500. You can figure that at least they're going to want to try a little bit and put on a show, and it's just kind of a mini show match of sorts. It's like, okay, these are 2 solid teams going at it. They're playing for something in the end. I kind of want to watch this match now all of a sudden. Whereas right now, they're literally playing for nothing. Why would I care to watch this game? So Again, it's kind of a mix of the spectators as well as the players. You know, ideally getting a little bit more out of it when it comes to creating the format a little better in terms of these online qualifiers. That is so. All right. Anyways, that was a little bit of a rant there. sorry about that. But yeah, that's just my take in terms of the format that's been going on for these qualifiers for the Starletter League Star Series. Again, I have been doing some casting for this event, and I really want to make it clear I'm not taking jabs. I don't mean to be taking jabs at this organization specifically. I get why they did it like this. Again, they just simply want to get a team sent to the event, and that's fine. But I just ask that, you know, maybe they kind of sit down and look at these formats in their future events if they choose to do more and deem, okay, maybe for the sake of everyone, even themselves, let's go ahead and put on a better show with these online qualifiers. So there you go. Anyways, all right. So moving on now to the next thing here on the daily recap. Is there a next thing? Not really. Okay, yeah, well, there kind of is. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the Pro Dota Cup now. We got the Pro Dota Cup here. The European region, they're actually currently in their grand finals. Pro Dota, the team, is currently matched up against Effect here in a best-of-3 series. Effect, actually, they were formerly known as Rebels, so it's kind of funny how in the brackets they actually are still known as Rebels. But yeah, they recently changed their organization to what is called Team Effect. And so they're getting kind of a rematch here of what was the winner bracket finals, essentially. So they're currently, Pro Dota actually had a 1-0 advantage going in. Effect, it looks like they won the first game, and now they're currently in that second game. So they're playing for a $5,000 prize pool. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for them and what happens on there. But that's the European region there, and that's the only Pro Dota event currently going.